Get over here right now and pick up the old hag we kicked out of our house because we want nothing to do with her." A month after my father's funeral, I received an unexpected call from Jackson. He had thrown my mother out of the house and demanded that I take responsibility for her. I was stunned, struggling to process the situation. "Are you serious? You actually kicked Mom out? Come see for yourself." "Oh, and I let her take Dad's memorial tablet." "Why would you do something so heartless?" "I don't need Mom now that there's no inheritance. She's just a burden, isn't she?" I was stunned to learn that my late father's debts had consumed any remaining inheritance. Even worse, Jackson and his wife had been living in our family home all along. It was infuriating. "It's getting dark. If you don't pick Mom up, she'll be out on the streets. How could you be so cruel? I'll never forgive you for this, Jackson." "I don't need your forgiveness, you're being too harsh." Jackson hung up before I could respond, and my follow-up calls went unanswered. When I finally reached my mother, she confirmed Jackson's story. Furious and worried for my mother, I had no choice but to drive over to her location. I'm Lily, a 27-year-old woman who married Mason, also 27, 3 years ago. We lived with my parents initially, but 2 years ago, Jackson and his wife abruptly moved in. They claimed our presence was causing overcrowding and forced us to leave. Jackson, my older brother by 8 years, had always been selfish, but his marriage seemed to amplify that trait. Our family home, a large mansion inherited from my grandfather with ample land, should have comfortably accommodated us all. Despite my dissatisfaction and arguments with Jackson, my conflict-averse husband urged us to move out. Shortly thereafter, my father's cirrhosis worsened significantly. I wanted to be by his side during his last moments, but that wasn't possible. My father passed away a month ago, and it pained me to think of how my mother must be suffering, especially with my own brother treating us this way amid our grief. When we arrived at the family home an hour later, I found my mom sitting forlornly on a suitcase in the garden. The front door was locked. "Jackson took her keys," she said. Using my set of keys, I unlocked the door and led my mom inside. Jackson and Olivia were lounging on the sofa, casually watching TV. "Is this some kind of joke?" I demanded. "Huh, how did you get in?" Jackson asked, surprised. "I used my key." "Oh, right, I forgot. Leave your key, take the old lady, and go." "This isn't funny. How can you just sit there watching TV after kicking your own mother out of the house? Besides, if there was any house left after paying Dad's debts, Mom has a right to live here." "Huh, what are you talking about?" Infuriated by Jackson's nonchalance, I stood in front of the TV. "Mom has a right to inherit this house. If you can't live with her, you should be the one to leave." "Shut up, this house is mine. Dad gave it to me when he was alive. Don't act smart when you don't know the whole story." "What do you mean? There's no way Dad gave this house to you." "Jackson, before he died." Mom had looked just as confused, shaking her head. Amid our bewilderment, Jackson smirked and got up from the sofa, retrieving an envelope from a back room. "Look at this." "What's this?" "It's proof that I inherited the house." The envelope contained documents prepared by a judicial scribe and a real estate ownership certificate. It showed that the property had been transferred to Jackson a month before Dad passed away. Mom and I were stunned as we examined the papers. Why would Dad do this? There was no way to ask the deceased for answers. I sighed and glanced at Dad's picture. Why would he give the house to Jackson without even talking to Mom about it? "Because I'm his favorite. I told him that Mom would take the house after he was gone, so he decided to give it to me while he was still alive." "That can't be true." I refused to believe it. "Open your eyes and accept reality." No matter how many times we checked the documents, they were in Jackson's name. All this just for a house. Is there no other inheritance? Nothing left for Mom? Nothing. Be grateful the debts are cleared. This can't be real. You know there's nothing left for you either, right? Jackson handed over a bank card with only a few dollars. I wasn't interested in Dad's inheritance, but discovering that he had left me nothing was a painful blow. To make matters worse, Olivia was laughing at our misfortune. "Now get out. You don't belong here." Jackson and Olivia shoved us out of the house. Mom fell and scraped her palm during the commotion, blood seeping from the wound. As I wrapped her hand in my handkerchief, tears of frustration streamed down my face. Mom, seeing me upset, gently wiped my tears, her own eyes filled with sorrow. "Mom, our place might be small, but come stay with us. I don't want to impose on Mason. I'll find somewhere else to go." "Don't worry about that. I can't leave you like this. I'm calling Mason right now." I wiped my tears, took out my cell phone, and dialed Mason's number. When he answered, I could hear the concern in his voice. Hello, Mason, I'm sorry for the sudden call. Mom's been kicked out of her house. As I explained the situation, Mason listened, his initial surprise giving way to understanding. Though he seemed a bit hesitant, I held my breath, waiting for his response. Our apartment might feel a bit cramped compared to Mom's house. It may not be the most comfortable. Yeah, our place is small, but I don't mind. Bring your mom over. We've all been taken care of before, so it's only right that we help each other in tough times. Mason, thank you so much. My husband's kindness and generosity are boundless. He could never turn away someone in need. We quickly moved Mom into our apartment, and from that day, we lived together. Although having 3 people in our tiny space was a squeeze, we managed. Our savings weren't enough to buy a bigger house yet, but finding a slightly larger place seemed like a good idea. I felt bad that Mom had to live in such tight quarters. While my husband and I searched for properties online, Mom's cell phone rang. After a brief conversation, she hung up and said something we never expected. Why don't we move into my Highlands condominium? Wait, what? Highlands condominium? Yes. What do you mean? Mom began to explain. To our astonishment, she revealed that my grandfather, despite his wealth, was a big spender and used up all his money each day. To manage his frequent borrowing, my grandmother had to sell their farmland to make ends meet. My father, too, was a spendthrift, and we were left with nothing but the house we lived in, which made me anxious about our financial future. That's why I invested in real estate with the money I earned before I got married. My husband and I were stunned. Not only did Mom own the Highlands condominium, but she also managed an apartment building and had accumulated substantial wealth from her real estate investments. I could hardly believe it. I'm sorry I didn't tell you earlier. Anyway, I just got a call from the management company. There's a vacancy in the Highlands condominium, and we can move in next month. What do you think? There was no reason to turn down such a generous offer. The Highlands condominium had 3 bedrooms, a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen, and it was just a 5-minute walk from the station, far more comfortable than our current place. Thank you, Mom, but we might only be able to afford the same rent we're paying now. Don't worry about that, we're family, and we'll do this properly. I need to notify our landlord about our move. Seeing my husband and me light up with joy made Mom smile too. We quickly got busy preparing for the move. Before long, we had spent 2 months settling into our new home at the Highlands condominium. As I was about to go shopping, I was startled when Jackson and Olivia suddenly appeared at the entrance of the condominium. Why are you, of all people, living in the Highlands condominium? Did you hit the jackpot or something? Of course not. The Highlands condominium has always been my mom's. Jackson and Olivia were stunned. What? They gasped in unison, staring at the towering condominium. I couldn't help but laugh at their shocked expressions. Jackson's face turned red with anger as he seethed. That wretched woman. I can't believe she was hiding this from us while pretending to be poor. My mom never claimed she was poor. Jackson, you just assumed she was. And she inherited a large house. What's wrong with that? That's not the point. Don't make a scene here. It's disrespectful to the other residents. How did you even find out I was here? Jackson admitted that he had tracked my mother's location through her mobile phone when he couldn't reach her. Why are you trying to contact Mom now after kicking her out? I'm sure it's something unpleasant. If Mom is here, I want to see her. Let me in now. You must be joking. If you hurt Mom again, I wouldn't stand for it. If you have something to say, you can tell me. Jackson and Olivia kept insisting on seeing my mother without explaining why. They seemed flustered. Weren't you living comfortably in your large family house? Just the 2 of you. It's none of your business. Fine, if you won't tell me, I'm leaving. Goodbye. As I tried to walk past them, Jackson suddenly grabbed my arm. Ouch, let me go. Just call Mom. Absolutely not, I'll call the police. Jackson scoffed, dismissing me with a look of contempt. The police won't come for a family dispute. Even if they did, you couldn't sue me for grabbing your arm. I suppose you're right. It's probably pointless and disruptive to involve the police for something so minor. I felt uneasy and didn't push the issue further. Alright, I'll let Mom know you're here, but only if you tell me why you're here. The utility bills for that house are insane. Just for the air conditioning, the electric bill is $500. Seriously, their old house had more than 8 rooms, so high utility costs aren't surprising, but $500 for electricity seems excessive. They must have overused the AC during this hot summer. I thought you'd have known that from the start. How would we have known? Mom used to handle the bills. Jackson scratched his head, and Olivia fumed beside him. We had no idea. The property tax for that house is $5,000 a year. What? I can't believe you didn't know that. Why would an old house like that cost so much? Maintaining it is expensive, given its size and large yard. I also pointed out something the Jacksons might not have realized. It's actually more expensive to give away property while you're alive than after you pass away. This is going to be tough. Is that really true? I see you didn't know. I told them this was information I got from Mom, and their faces went pale. Olivia, furious, snapped, "It's your fault for not doing your homework." And they began arguing right in front of me. After all the trouble we went through to get Dad to change the house title, this was too much. That's what happens when you try something underhanded, but even Dad said it would be better to give the house to me rather than to your mom. I can't believe it. I was stunned, realizing that my father had completely disregarded both Mom and me. As I grappled with the shock, Jackson seized the moment to make an outrageous proposal. "You can have the house. Let's swap it for this Highlands condominium." "What are you talking about? This condominium isn't mine. It belongs to Mom. Please, just speak to her directly. I'll pass on your message, but that's all." What does that even mean? Feeling exasperated by the absurdity of the situation, I abandoned my shopping and started to head back into the Highlands condominium. Jackson and Olivia tried to follow me in, their audacity leaving me speechless. "I'll sue you for trespassing. You just said that wouldn't be a legal issue." It seems they won't take the hint until they face a real consequence. Frustrated, I called out to the management office by the entrance. "Excuse me, could you please call security? There are people here who are not residents and are trying to force their way in." "What? Hold on." The security guard, stationed 24/7 at the Highlands condominium, arrived promptly. The sight of him startled Jackson and Olivia. I warned them again to avoid any further issues. "I didn't call the police this time because you only grabbed my arm, but if you attempt to use force or enter the condominium again, I will involve the police." "Okay, we get it. We won't come back. If I see you around again, I'll report it. Go back to your mansion that Dad gave you. Understood?" Clearly intimidated by the threat of police involvement, the Jacksons quickly retreated. I returned to my apartment and updated Mom about the encounter with them. But why did Dad let Jackson and Olivia into the house? Feeling downcast, Mom smiled gently. "Dad knew what he was doing when he let them in. He didn't want to burden you or me, Lily. Even though he wasn't very concerned with money, he cared deeply for us, and he always said he loved you, Lily." "Really?" I was overjoyed to hear that my father had such feelings for me. When Mom learned about the inheritance from Jackson, she remarked, "Is he really going this far?" Realizing that Dad had given Jackson a serious lesson for his selfishness. "You knew how Dad felt, Mom?" "Of course, dear. We've been together for 38 years. I can understand his thoughts without him saying a word. Besides, Jackson hardly ever took care of Dad when he was ill. I had assumed that the Jacksons were looking after Dad, but it turned out they rarely visited him, either at home or in the hospital. When I would visit, Dad often told me, 'Jackson comes to see me, and you have your job, Lily. You don't need to go out of your way.'" I took Dad's words to heart, not realizing that they were a gentle comfort meant to ease my worries. I had misunderstood him completely and felt awful for it. I wanted to apologize. "Don't worry, Lily, your feelings are reaching Dad in heaven. The ones who should be concerned are the Jacksons. Who would want to buy such a large, high-maintenance house these days? I bet they'll have a hard time finding a buyer." Mom's mischievous words, previously spoken with a hint of glee, proved true. After some time, the Jacksons, unable to maintain the house, put it up for sale but couldn't find any buyers. They continued to live in it for over a year. Eventually, Olivia accidentally started a grease fire while cooking, and the house burned down. Without fire insurance, their situation became even more dire. While I sympathize with their plight, it doesn't concern me anymore. The Jacksons are now camping out in the ruins of their house. Living in the Highlands condominium has been absolutely wonderful, and I'm deeply grateful to Mom. I've been paying her rent every month, but it seems she's been saving it all to ensure we're secure in the future. Every day is filled with peace and happiness living with my amazing mother and kind husband. As I visited Dad's grave, I vowed to continue honoring my mother's kindness and repay her in any way I can.